So we just learned that Bill Barr's Department of Justice subpoenaed some of the electronic communications of sitting members of Congress, Adam Schiff, Eric Swalwell, and their staff and some family members. Let's talk about that, because exposing the wrongdoing of Bill Barr and his lackeys and holding them accountable, like justice, matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So the story broke late last night about how Donald Trump and Bill Barr's Department of Justice subpoenaed, that is, seized from Apple, Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell's electronic communications. Here's the headline in the New York Times. Hunting leaks. Trump officials focused on Democrats in Congress. The Justice Department seized records from Apple for metadata of House Intelligence Committee members, their aides, and family members. Now, friends, I'm going to take exception for the moment with calling this thing that was just exposed a legitimate leaks investigation. I suggest there are some things we could call it that would perhaps be more accurate. Like, how about a Trump-Barr political smear campaign against high-profile Democrats? Or maybe a Trump-Barr attack on political enemies? Or how about a Trump-Barr weaponization of the Department of Justice for improper, immoral, and perhaps illegal purposes? Or how about we just call it plain old spying on political enemies? Yeah, I'm not prepared to call this a legitimate leaks investigation. Now, let me just talk for a minute about the difference between a subpoena, which is what Bill Barr used here, and a search warrant or another comparable court order, because they are two very different things. And let's talk about how a subpoena, Bill Barr using a subpoena to go after high-profile Democrats who are sworn enemies of Donald Trump, according to Donald Trump, how Bill Barr would have the opportunity to abuse the power of the subpoena if he chose. So first of all, the reporting is that this subpoena that went to Apple for Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell was for what's called metadata. Now, what precisely is metadata? I don't know. I'm not a computer guy, and you've heard me say that if you've watched any of my ramblings and musings over the years. That's why I do everything on legal pads and dry erase whiteboards. Don't even have a computer in my office. True. But here's what I do know from 3 decades as a prosecutor. You can use a subpoena to get certain things from the Apples or the AT&Ts or the Verizons of the world. But what you can get is pretty limited. You can get, for example, information about call detail records. All that means is you can get information from a phone company or an internet service provider that this cell phone number contacted this cell phone number or received a call from this cell phone number on such and such a date, and the communication between the two phones lasted X number of minutes. So that's the kind of information you can get. How about computers? You might be able to get information about this computer contacted via email this computer and then received an email in reply. But you can't get content. So you don't know what was said. You don't get the substance of the emails. You don't get the substance of text messages. You don't get voicemails. You get this electronic metadata that says different electronic devices are communicating with one another without being provided information about what was said. That's what makes this important in a leaks investigation because you can show this cell phone communicated with this cell phone. And if it's a member of Congress and a reporter, okay, that takes us in one direction. But a subpoena is not subjected to the scrutiny of the court. Bill Barr could have just said, hey, Donald Trump said he wants Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell investigated. Donald Trump said he wants Adam Schiff investigated on camera. He told reporters that. We've seen him say that. And Bill Barr could say, so I want you to cut some subpoenas, issue some subpoenas for Schiff and Swalwell's electronic communications. That would be a gross abuse of power. That would be the weaponization of the Department of Justice for Donald Trump's nefarious political purposes. A search warrant issued by a judge or a court order issued by a judge, on the other hand, would require the information being provided to the judge and open to the judge's scrutiny about whether you actually had probable cause to believe there's evidence of crime in the place to be searched, in the thing to be seized, like Rudy Giuliani's stuff. A federal judge reviewed the evidence and said, yes, there's probable cause to believe there's evidence of crime in Rudy Giuliani's stuff. And that's why a search warrant was issued. But a subpoena does not go through the judicial scrutiny process. So that's why we have to dig in and see why in the world Bill Barr is issuing subpoenas when Donald Trump is saying, I want Adam Schiff investigated. Next thing you know, subpoenas are going to Apple for Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell and their staff and family members' electronic communications, metadata. So what should we take away from this latest reporting? Well, there was a nice overview done by a reporter named Greg Sargent today in the Washington Post, and it is titled, helpfully, 3 Big Takeaways from Explosive New Trump DOJ Revelations. And he observes early in the article the following: the immediate question is whether the Justice Department did this as part of an express effort to carry out Trump's wishes for direct retaliation against 2 high-profile political foes, which would be an appalling abuse of power. And then the 3 important takeaways, according to Greg Sargent, are: 1, the Justice Department is not being forthcoming. Why does he say that? Well, because we learned that Representative Adam Schiff has been asking the Department of Justice for information about what in the world it did to him and why, and they've been radio silent. Number 2, Trump himself repeatedly called for this to happen. In statements to the media, in dozens of tweets, Donald Trump said, I want Schiff investigated, and his criminal defense attorney, Bill Barr, was apparently all too willing to accommodate that, misusing the Department of Justice. And number 3, Merrick Garland needs to step up. And we're going to talk more about that in just a minute. But let me say, investigations are great, right? We've heard the Inspector General for the Department of Justice, the internal watchdog, will be investigating this. And the Office of Professional Responsibility, OPR, that's the internal agency in the Department of Justice that investigates allegations of attorney misconduct, and they will undoubtedly be investigating this. You know what's even better than investigations? Prosecutions. Prosecutions of criminal politicians to hold them accountable for their crimes. Prosecutions of political criminals to deter tomorrow's criminal politicians. Prosecutions to save our democracy from the people who are attempting to tear it down, to undermine it, to bring an end to it. Prosecutions. It's not rocket science, folks. And you don't prosecute people for political payback or revenge or retribution. You prosecute them because they committed crimes. Let me make one other suggestion to Congress, if you're listening. Will you please drop a subpoena on Bill Barr's head, like right now, tonight? Don't even wait until tomorrow. You've got the subpoena power. Please use it. Subpoena Bill Barr, force him to testify before Congress under oath about this apparent abuse and so many other apparent abuses. If he's smart, he'll invoke his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. But Congress, you have the subpoena power. Please use it. Let me end on a high note. When it says Merrick Garland must step up. Today we saw Merrick Garland step to the cameras, and he waded into the voter suppression arena. He said, we will be looking at these laws that are being passed around the nation that seem to be designed to suppress voting rights, particularly voting rights for people of color and communities of color. And he said, and we will be looking at these fraudits, which may be violating federal law. We will be doing it. That's a good sign. That's a good development. He's stepping up on that front. Now, let's hope he steps up on other fronts, like prosecuting the people who are working to undermine our democracy. Because that's how you achieve justice. And justice matters. Folks, as always, please stay safe, please stay tuned. And I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.